The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. When Jesus looked up, he saw some wealthy people putting their offerings into the treasury, and he noticed a poor widow putting in 2 small coins. He said, "I tell you truly, this poor widow put in more than all the rest. For those others have all made offerings from their surplus wealth. But she, from her poverty, has offered her whole livelihood." The Gospel of the Lord.
So we had this reading from the Gospel just a few days ago, and it's Sunday. And if you remember, I talked about the 2 coins representing the 2 what? The 2 great commandments. Because this follows immediately after Jesus is interrogated about what's the greatest commandment. And he talks about love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And immediately there's the scene in the temple where she's putting in the 2 coins. And the 2 coins represent everything that we have. Everything. And the reality is, I was reading a commentary on this gospel this morning, and it just made me want to crawl under my chair. It's basically like, do we give all, or do we give what's left over? Do we give all, or do we give what's left over? And I will tell you, I can tell you, Mike O'Connor very often just gives what's left over. And it's a challenge. We talk about prayer and fasting and giving, and this call to give it all. Saint Cecilia, mentioned Saint Cecilia briefly here. Saint Cecilia was a noble woman, if you will, in the Roman Empire in the early days of Christianity, and in the early centuries, I should say, I think 3rd century, so the 200s, she had a tremendously a life of piety. She converted her husband. I think they did not consummate their marriage, and they lived as Christians. They lived kind of a religious life, and he became involved in. And when the Christians were martyred, they would often just leave their bodies out, and so he began to bury the bodies, him and his brother, and then the whole family got persecuted, and they were all martyred themselves. And so that's a little story of Saint Cecilia. And also, she's the patron of music. And we are lucky to have a couple of Cecilias in our parish, and that wonderful music. And what else? One other thing about Cecilia. It says that when she was being married, they were playing the Roman, kind of, if you will, pagan hymns. And she was singing the song of the glory of God in her heart. So she's kind of a patroness of musicians as well. The song to the glory of God in her heart. And we won't even get into Daniel today, but nonetheless, so we are called, my brothers and sisters, to give it all. And that giving all is to love God with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul, all our strength, to love our neighbor as ourselves. Lord, have mercy.